I am super excited about where this is headed. It looks like I'm almost done condensing a new base layer feature out of the RPG Simulator project, which means I can now move on to thinking about how I'm going to present this idea. And a decision I have to make here is whether to chase this down now or to make the rest of this week about my RPG Simulator cleanup, which is what I was originally planning to spend the week on. And the big thing I said that this morning was there's some stuff to do in the RPG Simulator cleanup, but a lot of it got done on Monday, actually. So here we are on Tuesday, and this cleanup is now the total momentum of it has me driving straight into this symbol set thing and getting this ready to share with everybody in a sort of edited, condensed video with some example code, right? And I'd like to just explain, I think that the right thing for me to do with the time I've got for the rest of this week is to take a few days and get this thing mostly ready, figure out how I'm going to share it and where, when it'll come out in different places and stuff. And a part of that is thinking about the best way to explain it, make a video that pairs with it to explain the key concepts, make some notes. I probably want to do a write-up about it. It's a pretty cool system, but it requires accepting a little bit of forbidden, you have to use some forbidden powers of the C compiler in a novel way that you might not be used to. Novel if you're not used to it, I suppose. So I think that outlining the rules in order to get you started and then show some examples would be a super useful way to pitch this idea for more people. But that could be a project that wants to spread out over a couple weeks. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll spend the rest of today carrying the momentum of cleanup that I already have to hit these and come up with an interface for my code base. Then I'm going to keep the rest of this week, maybe like at Friday or so, I'll get back to the cleanup. As I've said before, Fridays are always good days for cleanup. So I have some renaming stuff to do in the RPG Simulator. I'm thinking my plan is this. I'm going to focus on this for the rest of the time I have today. Over the next few days, I'm going to come up with a scope of how much I want to do to present this. And then we'll come back on Friday to finish the cleanup. Because like I said, most of it was done. And since I got so much done on Monday, why don't I take a few days off the streaming and work on one of these like reports. Now that I've got something to export, I'd like to put some time into that. So yeah, we'll take today to finish up with what I started. And then I'm going to take Wednesday and Thursday off the stream and hopefully come back on Friday to finish up the RPG Simulator project, or the not project, cleanup week. And then I might take another couple weeks off to finish up this new base layer concept. So for today, I'm thinking that these names need to change and the layout needs to be figured out in a way that avoids confusion. So user interface, anything that gets up here is part of the user interface, and anything that gets down here is internal. I think that's good. Decal nameless, raw ID from raw, metadata from ID. All of these are interface. These are internal. Okay. I'm going to turn back on my music here. start naming these like this. Symbol count. Symbol base pointer. Oh, look at this. I still had some ID system stuff left. Let's finish that conversion too. How are we doing? Hmm. Symbol count. Symbol base putter. Symbol ID from raw. All right, everything looks normal. Let's get onto those ID systems that are still left. Yeah, that could still use a new name. Instead of calling it symbol set, what would I want to call it? All right. Okay, so this pretty much does it. Okay, I think I don't need that note. Okay, I think that's all I need from me. Um, I guess the last big question is how I'm going to present it, but that'll I'll think about some other time. Is this pretty much it? I think there's a couple little details nagging at me. Declare them this way and this way. You count them, you get their base pointers. IDs and raw ID, raw references. ID from raw. The difference between raw and metadata is the int from putter. So it kind of feels like what if we tried something here? What if we throw in a one pass last pointer? So we can do that by just taking the base pointer and adding in the count anyway. Now that these are typed pointers, both of them, the base pointer is typed and the subtraction here is against the metadata pointer now, which is typed. So that should include the divide automatically. As a final step, I'm just realizing I probably want to call this nil instead of 0 now. No, but then I have to name it nil here. That was why it was called 0, huh? All right, fine. It's called 0. Fine. symbols. Tile raw. That's just going to be int from putter. I don't know. Having that raw version around, it has some uses, so we'll just consider that a thing that happens at this level. And from putter on the symbol metadata, en, symbol ID from raw, raw. Yes. Symbol ID from metadata, symbol type, cast it on, putter from, well, just the meta, yeah, putter from int raw, I suppose. Okay, looking good. Just want to remember these definitions here. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. 5 minute break time. Okay. All right, so that's my symbol system. Now, the symbol set system, I think right here is the number one place where I actually use it in other code. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'm not seeing anything else popping out. I'm gonna have to make a separate usage, like a totally separate example, because this is still tied in with things like my other base layer stuff. And I'd like to make just a generic example of this. And that's the sort of thing I might like to do off stream. I suppose some other things I should do now are to test out other compilers. Okay, so you're thinking about it like this function pointer here has a tile proto, but it was supposed to be a hook. So you're right. If I'm gonna do that, I should probably cast it for you so you can calm down, right? You don't like the fact that that's not a constant? That's a problem. Let's see here. Well, first of all, int from putter looks like a pretty bad macro. You gotta put something like this in parentheses. All right, let's try something here. If Mr. Compiler Clang, maybe we are going to need a different definition for this macro. Let's try just taking P, cast it to a U8, and then cast it to an integer. There, you like that. Now, what if we went back to local vars CL, and what if we said that that's actually always how you do it? Would you still be good to go? You would? All right, we're gonna simplify down back to that. Makes me wonder if I can also get away with this. Or this. Surely it's not so simple. Okay, what do you got here? Call to undeclared function. Are you telling me we didn't declare combat KO check? Microsoft compiler, why did you do this? Let's see. I guess we're building on Clang now. And that looks like it's doing what it normally does. So building for Clang works. Let's also try linking with Clang. Since we're hacking around with the linker stuff, we might as well include that in the conversation. Let's make sure some other stuff. What if I'm in release mode and you are applying optimizations? Does that screw anything up? Doesn't look like it. It all runs just fine. What if we go here? Still the same. Cool. Okay, so I think the one thing I haven't put on the table is the possibility of link time optimizations. And there's a way I would be able to handle that. This thing here. This is a thing which I can set up to make sure that there won't be any elimination of symbols done by the linker. So how do we enable linked? Why don't we do a little dive into this? A little checking out the boundaries of how this thing can work. So link time optimization for CL. Okay, I'm not sure if this is the only kind of link time optimizations. Okay, this looks like a good candidate for making things break. let's give it a shot. So we want to go to my linker flags. I don't know. Okay. Linker optimizations. Linker optimizations. Then you do this. We build like this, and still works just fine. Did that even do anything? Let's double check. We're linking with that one. Yeah. Call it link to do it. Well, give me diagnostics then. I need some kind of way to verify that this is happening. So here we go. We call link.exe. Let's put on line wrapping. We call link.exe. Let's turn that to this. And yeah, we did in fact turn on optimize ref. That built the base target. If I pull up compilation again, and look further down somewhere else, I've got link.exe again. Opt ref. Right, so that didn't do anything. Hi, Connor. Let's make sure, are these in debug? Yes, let's turn that off. So what about the compiler flags here? Do we have any examples of mode? Yeah, mode release. But we put debug down either way. Still runs just fine. Turn off the diagnostics. Yeah, that's still just working. And it's applying all those finger optimization related features. What else can you do? Okay, so that doesn't do anything. I wish I could generate an example of it eliminating a symbol. And I definitely have some symbols here, like, take a look, the protect. Or is that living in the other one, game scripts? Yeah. Technically, you can implement this without combat. Makes sense. So the protect tile never actually gets referenced anywhere in the code. Yeah, that's not true because of this. Let me eliminate that. But if it doesn't get referenced anywhere and it can't be used, well then here's how I'll know if it works. It'll crash when I run with a wizard party. Sleepy party. Let's see, we have a wizard party, right? The wizard party, the wizard has a protect. So we'll see. Well, he still has it. We're in release mode. Optimizations are turned on. And yet, it can't eliminate this. Fascinating. Okay. Well, that's too bad. I would have loved to find a case that actually reveals the problem. But the point is, a symbol that doesn't get referenced, some people are going to object to this system I'm building and say, hey, because of the fact that you rely on undefined behavior, you're saying that all the symbols will be there, but actually a linker can optimize away the ones that aren't touched. Now, it might be that it can't do that to global variables, that it can only do that to functions, right? It might be that, for instance, the linker is already forming a pact where it does not modify data sections at all. Or it might be that I'm not turning it on right. I don't really know how I would know. But if there is an objection like that, there's actually a solution. At least in theory. I wish I could prove that it was working by showing this thing breaking first. But the solution is to hop into my base layer and look at this concept right here. This is how I am ensuring that before main functions don't get eliminated in the same way. What if there was do not eliminate And then all we have to do to fix things up again is the symbol set. We have this thing of the declare. We'll just give one extra macro here called define, which will come with a do not eliminate this symbol, followed by a symbol declare en, and then whenever you want to do declare and then an equal sign, you just got to switch that to being a define, right? Your defines just use this one because we need one of them that marks that pragma now. So declare, and this will have to be define nameless actually. Because if you declare something nameless only to define it later, you're never going to be able to link them together. Close, 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 close. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take another 5-minute break. Probably won't even be 5 minutes, but be right back. Let's keep going. What went wrong? Symbol defined, RPG event def, symbol define. Is it just this thing making you nervous? Oh, you need to use the declare version. What would it be like if this just replaced this the whole the way through. It's a little much, not too bad. Ooh, there we got a crash. How did we do that? These functions don't have names. Oh, well, okay. First of all, let's turn off all the linking optimization tests. Do we still crash? That's just a breakpoint. Let's turn off our breakpoints and keep going. Okay, where did you crash though? Here we go. Now we can see it. Damage amount is null. Because in1 was null. Run tile hook. Protect is actually busted because I haven't tested it yet. But this is just a good old mundane bug in the way the new event handling for the new tile scripting is working. See right here, I'm supposed to be passing event data and I'm not. Right, yeah, no, that's the right way to do it. Okay, this party comes out looking very good. They fight. Looks like they dealt 3 damage and they got just 2 damage. Possibly one of them got protected and then it got discarded because this has gone down. Yeah, it looks like he used that. So they took 3 damage, but one of them got protected off of that. And they did 3 damage simultaneously, taking these guys down to 2. Then in another round, 2 more damage came in, but 2 damage went out this way, and we're down to 1 guy here. And then, yes, everybody made it. Makes sense, makes sense. Okay. And now, having fixed that, once again, turn on all these optimizations to prove the point that that's not what was busting it in the first place. So protect is working there. If I go into the game scripts, eliminate this, we were saying it was all still working just the same, but the behavior should change, which is they'll never use the protect, it'll stay on them and they'll just fight it out, dealing damage back and forth instead. I guess the thing is, like, this references the protect even if this doesn't. So maybe what I have to do to test out this would be like that. But of course I've gone and set it up already. So what if I undo the main fix? Can I find a case where it disappears? It's still right there. Totally fine. All references to the identifier protect, please. This is from the new one, protect. These script clauses are also doing it. Get those out of here. So we have a define right here. We want to make sure there are no references. That one's allowed because it's a string reference. Build, run, and it's still there. So I'm fairly confident that it's not getting eliminated, but maybe, just maybe, the tile script macro is already building a reference in. Symbol define, tile. It's not really a reference to that. But I mean, this works. So I think I set up the fix correctly. I just wish I could generate a case of it being necessary, but I think that that's just what I'm gonna have to settle with in terms of how rigorous I'm gonna get a chance to be today. I'm a little bit close to out of time, so let's just see. This can now get demoted to later because object file editing is going to come down a little bit later down the pike here. This is actually a finish to do essentially, so clear that out. I need to do this before things get any farther. I probably should do this sooner rather than later, and I should definitely do this. There's also another thing I thought of. I want to clean up the state array system. I have this thing where there's the two parties, they form an array that's the current state, and each one's in a current, like a state, and then we dispatch on the rule of the game for handling that set of states. And it's cool, but it involves swapping the things around in the array. There's a lot of permuting the array to get it lined up, and I've been thinking it'd be better to leave the array sitting still and to handle the dispatch a slightly different way. The reason I think I'd like to do that is just because it will create a stable naming scheme sort of layout wise, right? There'll be a stable order to the parties, so you'll be able to look along the timeline and go, party one is the same one in each step. Right now they can swap, and so you have to look carefully. And I don't like it. I don't like it. So I think I'm going to change it so that that's not how it works. And instead, what will happen is when you want to access a party from the list of parties inside a rule, you'll have to go through an intermediate layer that swizzles the party array for you as you access it. The other thing I'm going to want is some kind of way to do the lookup from a party to its state better. Right now it's a pair of parallel arrays, and so once you know what party you are, you have to figure out what slot you are in the array. I think ultimately what should happen there is that it should maybe just be a member of the entity, or possibly well, yeah, that's probably most likely what I think it should be, that each party that's in play should have a state. Um, Anyway, with that, I think I will sign off for today. So this has been cool. I think that I'm gonna take, as I was saying earlier at the beginning of this particular stream, I think I'm gonna take the next couple of days to plan out a way to introduce the new set system because I'm pretty happy with where it's at, and it feels like a reusable tool that I want to export to my supporters and members. So now's a good time to remind everyone if you like the stuff I'm working on and you like seeing me do these experiments with how to, express my program using, you know, esoteric possibilities in the object file and C declaration systems and stuff like that. And if you'd like to see more of it, or if you'd like to get your hands on the code early and start playing with it, or if you'd um, just think that where this project is going is cool and you'd like to be a part of supporting it, go over to mysticforth.com/membership. Members are going to start getting access to this as a part of their exclusive access source access perk. So if you're already a member, you'll be seeing that sooner or later the first pass version of the symbol set will be ready to go, and then when I come back, I'll come back on Friday to do a little more cleanup, and then we'll discuss what next steps I've got. I don't know how long it'll take to get this new system ready, but the whole point of doing projects like the RPG simulator is that it's a vehicle for research, and when something matures out of that, I want to switch gears for a little bit and get that out there so that I can honor my promise to the people who are supporting me to pump out some interesting C programming research. To Connor, who's asking what's in the devlogs, I do a devlog once. I try to do it on Fridays, and I do it once every few weeks. And it's essentially a summary of things that I've been making progress on in terms of research projects. And, it might be easiest to just answer this if I pull up. Oh, crap. Let's get Discord on the right screen here. Let's see. What did I write in my last couple of devlogs? So, I talk about things like the RPG simulator progress, the progress on the C scripting system that I'm still doing here, a lot of stuff about how the RPG simulator is connected to long-term goals, where it was in the last update. Um, the last devlog. I also have let's see some older ones. What was I doing then? I was working on back when I was working on Bindash. I was getting updates on the object file parsing progress. So this is an option for people who don't want to hang out on my stream all the time. If you're here pretty frequently, so you know what I'm working on. But the devlogs come out once every few weeks to summarize what I'm making progress on. So if you are supporting me as a supporter or a member, you at least get a little a window into what your support is. What exactly it is you're supporting, right? That's the idea. Anyway, thanks for everyone who came and hung out today and checking out what I'm doing. I will see y'all around the internet in a few days when I get back. All right, later.